Alright, so drinking game would be so rough with me. I keep saying alright, or alright, starting any given, like, freaking recording I do. And I talked about that briefly. And it's like, man, you just get fucking hammered. It's like everyone. Alright, so this is the zombie survival plan history and story. So, uh, I don't know how much you might believe, in being able to see a future in some given way, and receive information backwards, like the time machine things that I've talked about, with your mind, okay, which is still feasible, right? It's a given kind of quantum tunnel and some entanglement, and then like creating the fields for stability with inside your mind, meaning brainwave patterns to allow for a given type of situation where that might be going on or could be happening. Anyways, point is, don't know how much you believe about that kind of thing, but it's like this is a survival plan I had for a long time, but then eventually I decided to go see if there was some type of virus infected like fungus that somehow had a symbiotic relationship with a bacteria and a slime and mold to be able to infect, others. You know, Again, this was like this not totally impossible sort of scenario, but like it'd be pretty difficult to sort of replicate some of that. But it's a whole thing. Um, and for what it's worth, it's definitely more of like it sort of just latches on to the brain that's already there and just simply wants to replicate like any other virus and fungus instead of turning into a like super intelligent kind of being as a zombie. It's very much similar to a lot of the zombies that we already have, uh, minus like the super fast speed because their reaction time is slowed, thanks to like this being a pretty incredibly like inflammatory kind of thing to be done to them. But they can eat and they can repair their body, and like it's kind of like a you know, parasites, symbiote sort of combo. Um, it's just doing motor, like like rabies. It does the infecting of your nerves and motor neurons and so on, and fear of water and all that. Similar situation in this instance where it's just seeking out any thing that it can really try and infect, that kind of thing. Eat food, um, bite, scratch, ejaculate, saliva, blood, feces, anything, like to try and get it to spread. All right. Which would make sense, and yeah, they can take a lot of actual hits before they'll go down. But just like always, you get them in the brain or you get them in the heart, and they'll go down pretty fast. They can repair, but like nothing's repairing the broken bones, so they're not going to set right, and skin grafts are going to become infected, even if they'll fight it with their immune system and themselves being there to try and fight that, to try and live and be able to spread and so on. It would ultimately still die eventually if it's really bad. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a one of those things where it's like hijacked everything it can really kind of hijack and try and live. It's actually going to be able to sense, hear, see, make some degree of planning and communication because it's still a part of your brain and you still have that there. Even having sex and having babies that come out that, if they manage to live long enough, would grow into a full adult zombie. Because it can be a thing, even if they're not nearly as smart. They don't run super fast. They, while don't have, muscle limitations like that we just kind of automatically have, they'll still break their bones or tendons because they'll overexert. Yeah, and other such things like that. So, anyways, the long and the short of it, this is a zombie survival plan is head to coast, get all the cargo ships you can get, fucking get servers, get batteries, get fucking windmills, get solar panels, get 3D printer, get fucking all that shit, get some soil, get something that can make soil, good soil, water or sewage treatment really, and get a group of people that you understand that this is going to be a long haul motherfucking thing, and so it all was. I had 12 boats strung together. It's a sailboat. We just anchor, use a water anchor. And we remove the engine and basically turned it into its own version of like whatever extra like welding or pots, pans, anything that we really needed because it's iron. Because it's like, I don't need that engine to ever run. This thing will fucking eat fuel. So it's like, fuck that. Like, that's literally irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like, that's just weight that we could dump. But it's like, it might be useful for something. And besides, it's a really hard endeavor to try and cut a whole bunch of engines out of a fucking cargo ship. So it's just like not a thing that you would really do. And, maybe over time, but whatever. But so got solar panels, got windmills, got like the whole tarp thing, hydroponics and soil stuff. People live in the ships. We had 2,000, a little over 2,000 people. The final number was 6,000, sorry, 213 people total is what was totally allowed for all of the self-sustaining nutrition and calories that we could do for the variable different vegetables and things that we could grow, okay, and be able to fish. So there is that. Same thing with being able to replenish the soil because we have fecal matter, and there are ways of turning fecal matter back into soil. So you got that shit, and still capture some of, if not any of the reasonable amount of collection of methane or propane or anything that might be something that we would want. Same thing with oil from fish and so on. Anyways, moving on. The basic premise was like this is 12 of them just stuck together and effectively like made to do this, and we started out actually at a pretty low amount of people for what it is. It's like we're gonna have all this, right? And it's like 1 year to 5 years you have to wait, and it's a selected down the line just list. And yeah, we had not just white people. Okay, so I don't know why the hell it is that's like such a big deal for some people. But it's like, oh, so we're not going to only have white people. Yeah, no, just so you know, it's like, it's whatever. Who gives a fuck? It's like, ooh, Whitey's going to die. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, this is such a weird one. It's like, he's going to make it so there are no black people or any of this other shit. He's going to remove all of the black people. I'm like, no. This is just anyone that could fucking, get this shit going. So that's not the case. Whoever might have thought that, stop thinking that. You're a discriminatory kind of person. I don't like that. Don't think that way. So, anyways, moving on, because that's awkward as fuck for me, because it's like I can feel that fucking bullshit, like comment whoever happens to listen and so on. But it's like, whatever. Move off of that, but it's like it was a slow overtime year, and then it's like we had zones. So it's like we have a government. We're removing capitalism. It's gone. You can't have it. Zones are more about like sexual preferences, what you find to be allowable in your area, in terms of like how young and various pursuits of passions, I guess. A good way to put that is like different hobbies that you could really kind of actually do, like entertainment or um, politics, various arts, literature, stuff like that. Because it's like everybody has to be educated, like on everything. There is nothing but time, and eventually, because we got this done, the old people are going to die. The people that originally saw real fucking zombies are going to die. And so, like, our whole real shtick was like, we're gonna go back, we're gonna make sure the film, we're gonna make sure you know that it's a real thing. Nobody fuck around. We're gonna make sure that you know. We're gonna give you all of the education to look out for these fuckers and any telltale signs that you can definitely fucking figure out. You know, we have doctors, we've got nurses, we've got the whole, we're gonna educate and fucking learn all the fucking shit that we can. Everyone's practically a doctor and a nurse. Everyone's practically an engineer and physicist. Everyone's a programmer. You know what I mean? Like, everyone can do everyone else's job because you don't know what might happen. That's what's happening on the boats. And so it's like, kids, well, guess what? They're going to need to be fucking looked after because everybody can watch everybody. Remember my zone thing? Like, yeah, sure, I'm a totalitarian dictator, but, you know, stop fucking being mean to yourself or that other person over there. Make sure to consider their side and their feelings. Try and think about the pros and cons. Make sure you respect those boundaries. You know what I mean? Like, that's all that is. But it's like everybody's kind of doing it. You know what I mean? And it's caught more than enough people almost trying to murder someone more than enough times, and eventually it's like the education of like, hey, guess what? You know what? We get the fact that people are gonna have sex when they're young with other young people or adults. I'm just fucking tired of dealing with this. I'm at a fucking stuck ass boat. This is gonna be fucking decades. No, I'm tired of it. I'm not doing this tribal bullshit that's gonna get everyone killed. Get out of here. This is not gonna work. I'm being realistic. Fuck off. That's how this is gonna work. So it's like they're gonna get taught. They're gonna be the ones who choose when and where and how comfortable and all the boundaries and all the safeties and all the people and all the rest of it. And I don't have to fucking deal with any of this other weirdo bullshit hangups that people have because it's their zone and they're allowed, and that's how that works. Just respect the privacy of like people in that area are allowed. Just just fucking deal with it. And if you don't, trust me, that happened a few times. Well, all of them are dead. So like that was a pretty quick one. You know what I mean? Because it's like, look, you just are able to do practically almost anything. You know what I mean? Like you have all your needs taken care of that we can reasonably accommodate. You know, like we're trying to do the whole government thing, and we're trying to help them understand. It's like this is a real thing. Like these are the real reasons why we have the zone in the government like this, and these are the consequences that can really be there if you have this capitalism, if you have this type of religion, if you have this type of philosophy, if you have this type of moral or ethic code, if you have these types of seen personality traits and so on that are dangerous because they'll be willing to just hurt you, and it's just fun to have for them to troll and hurt you and manipulate over many decades even. You know, it's a lot of that exists, like in all of it. Like that's what kids get taught first. It's not about math. It's not about science. It's about learning that like you are on a very dangerous, serious, situational point in history on this planet, in this boat. All of this is serious. Like the parameter for the 1 to 5 year thing is like, did you want to have a child? You know, did you already have a child? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So, like, have you already tried? Uh, you know, you know. So it's like there's a few damn situations there that go into like how long that's gonna take, and it's to slowly all together, have them experience all. Because we got internet, we got books, we're getting all that we can get back from our old civilization. We have all the hospital tech that we can really kind of get together. We got surgery, operating rooms. We're trying to make medicine that is going to be a good thing to have. Like all of that's going to be there. All right. But it's like, do you see how really serious this is? This has to live until those fuckers all die off. This is not play games, it's blah, 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 maybe wrong, so on. I don't care. Get out and die. Because that's genuinely a thing that we would do. It's like, treat it as serious as it is. This is going to need to be there later when you try and rejoin the civilization, if it is there, which turns out it was not at all. Nothing really sustained. Like, for real. Put a long story short, we had nothing else but time to sink into creative, progressive, science, engineering, physics, anything with biology, because it's like we want to cure for ourselves, if anything, a treatment at least, if anything happens, right? But also, like, we want to live for longer, because it's like, fucking holy shit, but it's like, well, we got the live for a longer part, but you don't get to have kids. You can have sex all you want, just don't have kids. You can't have kids until you're back on the shore, recolonizing the planet. That's right. That's how long you have to wait. Guess how long it took? Thousands of years, basically. It's like it's a few hundred. It was like we checked every 2 decades and still kept seeing zombies. Then we just skipped over to 3. Because it's like, fuck this, and too many close calls. I was just like, this is bullshit. They're still around. It's been fucking, and it's like over 300 years. Finally, it seemed kind of quiet. We had to spend a fucking long ass time searching everywhere to see what the hell had happened. People had recorded some stuff. It's pretty similar tale, consistently, over and over and over. Petty people that intentionally made, because they wanted glory or they just were angry at one person or another zombie outbreak inside of their little colony. They decided to just fucking open whatever it was, let them storm in. They warred with each other internally until they all died. They became sick with famine or disease because they didn't constantly make sure that everybody was learning everything they could and kept up to date. They got relaxed when they shouldn't have. It's just lots of those things everywhere. But there are just a few that ever seemed to get to those points. Everything else was gone and dead. They were still dead, by the way. They're dead. Nothing lived but us. That's what that was. Like, that travel attitude fucking had to go. You didn't do the zone thing, you died. You didn't let kids just fucking be valid and have emotions be seen as valid. You know what I mean? Like, have, like, their, shit validated, boundaries respected, that kind of thing. You died. The abuse and trauma caught up. People didn't want to do shit. There's no fucking safety net, man. It's gone. You die. There's no, like, you can just keep killing them and killing them and killing them. Eventually, they'll war and fight after that, and we saw that too. It doesn't matter which version you went for. It's like, just fucking accept people. That's all it was. But it's like, that's apparently the only thing we ever did. You know what I mean? Like, we were like the only ones that ever really apparently did that. Like, what the fuck is that? Which actually bothered me. But I spent like over 100 years, like, fucking scouring the planet, finding little skeletons and colonies and so on, and seeing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and it was just sickening, sad destructive, that like fucking psychological part of you, it's like fucking holy shit, we're it. I was that afraid that that's what was going to happen, and it turned out to be that's exactly what happened. It's us. This is it, man. Like, what the fuck? Terrifying shit, right? Like, we got the 6,213 people. They've got internet. Every one of them is basically a super genius. They got fucking mad skills, lots of talent, lots of knowledge on almost every goddamn thing that we could think of. You know what I mean? Great government. People understand why the hell it is that this is like this and why you had to have it like this and so on and so forth. Makes total sense. Especially when you don't have a lot. Like, you really don't. Like, 6,000? You think 6,000 is a lot? That's not a lot. That's a whole fucking planet. 8 billion motherfucker plus people. Gone. Down to fucking just over 6K people. Some people are like, no, I wouldn't let you. Who gives a shit? I don't give a fuck. Motherfucker, fuck off. I don't care what the hell you think. This is serious. Deal with serious, man. Like, you gotta have to do that. You know what I mean? Like, as lame as that sounds, like, you have got to understand. It's serious. Like, this dynamic, you're gonna have to accept people. These people are gonna be around for a long ass time. You're gonna have to accept that that's gonna wax and wane. You have to accept that these ideologies that you might think that are good now, they're not gonna be good later. You have to understand that things change. That's how that works. Except that it's the individuals and those that allow for them to be valid, heard, respected, and make the slow choice or fast choice safely and comfortably. Make sure that they're cautious and they understand and they're educated. This is also coming from a person that no matter what, I can have sex, sure, but it's like, I have kids, bro. You know what I mean? And I'm not the only one that did that, but it's like, shit sucks. It's like we eventually got sports. We eventually got to like combat kind of like levels of sports too, but like still every so often something would just fucking make people explode, tension or whatever it is. And, sex came in there, orgy, whatever, fuck, but it's like, it's mostly about the fact that it's like, sometimes there's a person or two that just needed to fucking duke it out, even up to the death point, man, and that's what that was. Now, granted, I'm talking, like, literally most of the time here is all solved with, just fucking talking, but it's like, that still was a necessary part of us as human beings that we are. So it's like, that was a thing, and say what you want, but it's like, I'm one of the few that was from that point when there was zombies. Like, real zombies, man. And, leadership, not so much maybe, but fucking definitely not at that point. I'm a better leader besides anyways. I had the plans, I had all the rest of it, and I learned, and everybody, who the fuck is the best leader in a zombie apocalypse, huh? A person that understands how a group dynamic works. And make sure to accept that people are going to have to fucking do that the way that makes sense for them. And they have their own little slice and comfort through the fucking shitfest that is the seriousness of a real zombie apocalypse. That knows that everybody's going to have to constantly keep vigilant for rape, for murder, and for more, because that thing can spiral out of control with grudges and petty, passive-aggressive, crappy behavior and more. Everybody's going to have to get good at being able to understand perspectives and feelings of each other, their emotions, where it might come from. It's very necessary to have that very early on, because people are stressed and traumatized as fuck. Even if you have 12 damn large cargo ships, it doesn't change what it is. You know what I mean? You're in a serious fucking zombie apocalypse. It has nothing to do with the whole minor blah blah blah. Just deal with it, man. You know, it's just like, this is fucking lame. I'm tired of having to believe your bullshit. It existed before we started crying foul about it as much as we do now. It's existed the entire time humans have existed. You just have to fucking deal with it. You know? So it's like, that was what that was for a long time. But it's like, we scoured around. There's like fucking nothing. It's just us. You know what I mean? We had some school trips to the shore. You know, teaching about zombies. That's kind of what that is. Too many close calls. Had to stop to fucking record it. You know what I mean? Some simulation with VR stuff. Best we could do. I mean, we slowly got really good at really pretty damn good advanced technology, but it's a boat, bro. You know what I mean? It's a few boats stuck together. Yeah, some 3D printer. Like, you're not gonna get too far on that. You know, and so it's like just learning that eventually everybody's gonna get real fucking angry about how little there is to do and little there is to see. You know what I mean? And the news I'm coming back with others is gonna be, hey, so we're all that's left. It's just us. That's right. It's just us. And oh, here's a nice little kicker. It's just us and sea life, some river life, so on. That's literally all that really was left. Some insects, plants, mold, fungus, so on. But there's not a single fucking human, no animals at all, no birds, motherfucker. There's barely that many fish. It's gone. That's right. Those fuckers ate whatever they could, or they turned them into zombies, eventually died, whatever the fuck it is. But it's gone. It's the ocean, a few rivers and streams and lakes and so on. And that's it. It's us to repopulate a fucking planet. That's it. Fuck. Imagine that fucking news, right? Holy shit. So it's like, we went back, you know, to colonizing, but we have to spread out. We have to be independent. Imagine this: 6K people, 6K plus people, pretty fucking relatively close to each other at all times. Always got like making sure to keep on track. And are you okay? Is everything okay? You know, basically the biggest family, you know, that you can kind of really reasonably kind of try and have. That's it, right? Fuck. Right? Separated. Tiny little communities and towns. It's not that stupendously far, but, you know, we gotta grow apart. Be a little more independent. We gotta spread. We gotta colonize, man. You know? That's kind of what's going on. I finally get to have kids. I had a few thousand. This is why the 1,000 years thing is a thing. But it's like, we only got to 20K in a few thousand years. Everybody lives for a long time, for what it's worth. Very healthy, so on. But it's like, that's it. 20K in a few thousand years, because we had grown accustomed to being very slow and cautious, and people dying slowly. We had grown accustomed to all of the consequences that we must consider, and raising children very carefully and slowly, and alongside of any and all of the rest of anyone in our whole community. I mean, like, guys, we need to repopulate all this, you know. It's like, I don't think you're fucking enough. The whole point is that we fucking spread like rabbits. Fuck like rabbits and spread, right? You know? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, but actually, you know, if you think about it, that's not a good idea. People are going to get hurt. People are going to grow too quickly. People are going to not be as educated as they should be. That kind of thing. So that's what that turned into. So it's like, oh, wow, I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm just cautious. It's like, I'm like, if something else happens again, we're fucked. We won't have that 8 billion, man. Like, we're it. This is it, man. There is no extra. For what it's worth, that boat had to get constantly repaired. You know what I mean? It had to be constantly repaired. And it's still there. Still home to people. But I have lots of kids in many of those towns, and they have lived for a long time, and I have raised them all as best I could. But I'm basically the only one that really kind of did that. To be fair, I kind of understand why everybody kind of knows why that would be, that for me, considering, like, well, you went hundreds of years with really never getting to ever do anything. And you raised basically a bunch of people that would slowly but surely die. And all the rest of that. So it's like I can see why a lot of people were fine with me doing that, and along with a couple others. So it's just what it is. But so for what it's worth, it's like, guess what? It's not just white people. A few thousand people, by the way, is not going to take over 20K. Same thing with the others. See what I'm saying? So, no worries on the diversity of our race. We're good. But that's kind of where it sort of turned into the end of that kind of story, because it's more or less just us slowly but surely growing as a massive, super interconnected zone thing that more or less just left Earth. I am not kidding. A lot of fucking physics and engineering and growth and science and so on. And we had a slow burn that was steady and unable to ever stop. And so we just fucking left. Went intergalactic. That's kind of where the end of that. Like, there's a whole bunch of other stories, because we repopulated a lot of other planets. Didn't really meet any other aliens. So, that one's kind of a rough one, because like other aliens, and it's like, aliens, because we're technically aliens to them, kind of a thing. Didn't, not things like us. No sentient, no self-aware, some plants, some bacteria, so on, but that's about it. So, like, that's kind of the roughest part. It's like, but then again, we haven't explored everything. We're only intergalactic. We're not super clusters. We're not, that kind of thing. So it's like, we got a ways to go. But it's like, fucking hell. We're expanding to getting out there. And here I am, an old ass motherfucker. Now, granted, I'm not the oldest. For what it's worth, I'm technically the youngest. By like a couple of fucking days. It's like 2 years, a couple of days, into like 12, I think it was like the oldest motherfucker. But, what's that relative to that amount of time, right? You know what I mean? So, it wasn't that big of a deal. But it's like, we are the OG. Like, it's basically us as the oldest things. Besides like a few children down the line from that point in that boat that are still alive, kicking it, either running. Because if you think it was like, it was always you as the only totalitarian dictator. It's like, bitch, they need to learn, and I want to not have to do this anymore. I'm going to do other things. You know what I mean? Like they really thought I was gonna do that, but it's like, no, fuck this, I'm out. I'm so no offense to anyone out there, but it's like they need to learn, and I don't want to do it. I want to go pursue my own hobbies and passions and do other things. So fuck you. You can do this. Go do them. I'm your advisor for stuff. Imagine if you had that as like that kind of a thing. Like this seems to be what's happened and what works, and we have like lots of good files about that. And I'm also a person that's experienced it and has really good memory, so it's something that we had to figure out. It's like, oh god, I'm gonna live long enough for my memory to become such a big issue. I'll have forgotten practically everything. So it's like we had to get that done. So it's like there's that problem for people that are like, you're gonna be an infinitely long-lived dictator, and it's like the dictator that makes you happy and tries to make sure that you just sort of be nice to yourself and others, and that's literally all that is. You know what I mean? Like I don't get any special abilities. I can't make special fucking kinds of orders outside of like, look, everybody, they're all fucking grouping up to kill someone or me, and they didn't do any reasonable levels of like actual debate and so on as to why that's not acceptable to have those things around, which totally that thing that's like, you'd be this evil blah, 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 blah. They're gone. Like I mean it, they never survived on the boat. They were never there, and we always constantly were vigilant to any of these sociopathic psychopathic kind of traits, simply because it's like they would have been a literal filter event to the civilization later, you know? It would have killed the species and people on the boat, and eventually they would have riled up and back to capitalism, back to blah 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 bullshit, and death would not have been a good idea. But long and short of that expansion throughout the space they were in, it's like it was really just kind of the same thing. Here's a fleet of boats stuck kind of next to each other. We travel between one another. We're gonna go drop a couple of people off and have fun. Make sure you tell us if anything's wrong. That's what it was. Not much terraforming because we didn't have that. We were just out trying to find anything that was habitable from the get-go, while swinging around anything that might be something with life on it. So went back to the old Earth, but by that point it had been gone a long time ago, pretty much destroyed. So not because of humans, astronomical bullshit, the kind of stuff, uninhabitable sort of planet at that point. But that's all that was, and I just wanted to talk about it because it was like, it stayed, it was good. But of course, nobody believe it. They'd be like, there had to be issues. And like, yeah, standard, you gotta talk things through. Sometimes that takes time. People have to work through things, so on and so on. And other various stuff like that. But for the most part, it's pretty good. The problem is like, there wasn't much at all. Just us. Kind of get used to it, but it's like, wow, it's fucking empty. Alright, that's the end of it.